A few days ago, I was sitting down with Erica to talk about some stuff relating to raising the kids. And after we had our talk, I realized that initiating a conversation with your partner about anything semi-serious or serious, is actually really hard to do. So after we had our talk, I put together a list of tips and advice based on my own experience and some research I did on how to initiate a conversation, how to start opening those lines of communication with your partner when something serious comes up. Because that's one of the biggest keys to keeping a long-term relationship going, is being able to talk to your partner openly. And it begins with picking the right time and place. So if you want to have a serious talk with your partner, you got to set yourself up for success. You need to choose your time choose a time when neither of you are angry, neither of you are hangry or tired. Like after the end of a long work day, that wouldn't be the best time to have a serious conversation. Or when you're distracted, like if you've got a looming deadline, or your partner has a deadline or something to do in an hour. That's going to occupy their attention, and that would not be a good time to bring up something that you need to get off your chest, or something you need to ask your partner about, something serious. Instead, wait for a time when you're both calm and relaxed. And in that vein, try to choose a place where you're both calm and relaxed, like somewhere safe, like a living room, like your living room. And instead of at a train station or at an airport, you don't want to be somewhere that's going to cause distractions, or somewhere where you or your partner feel like they can't open up themselves because they won't have any privacy. So choose the right time, choose the right place, then you can get into the conversation. Now, while you have this talk, try to eliminate any distractions. If you know you're going to get a package from Amazon in the next 20, 30 minutes, maybe wait. Try to turn off your cell phones, silence anything that's going to make noise or interrupt you guys, because you don't want to be deep in the throes of things or having a heart-to-heart, and all of a sudden, like, one of you has to get up to go take care of something. That's not going to work. That's going to interrupt your train of thought. That's going to interrupt the flow. That's going to cause either one of you to sort of clam up a little bit. So really try to take care of as many environmental and physical factors as you can before you start talking about things. Now, once you do start, we're on a trail here with the dogs, and I got to make sure that no cyclists come through. Otherwise, I have to get the dogs off the trail pretty quick. Oh, look at the view. Just 1 second, look at this view up here. It's beautiful. Look at all that. It's Medford, Oregon, Rogue Valley. Hey, future me here. As I was heading back to the car, I was thinking and remembered a few more very important tips for how to set the stage to have a difficult talk. And I'm going to give you some phrases and some sentences that you can use verbatim when opening a conversation, because the first part of any difficult talk is always the hardest. Implementing it, breaking the ice, getting it going, whatever you want to call it, that's going to be the toughest part. So try this. Let's say your partner comes home, or they've been home for a while, whatever. Go over to the couch. You sit down, you put your arm out on the top of the couch like this and say, hey, sweetheart, come over here. There's been something on my mind that I really could use your input with. I really need this. I really need your help figuring this out. Do you mind just taking a few minutes so we can chat about something? Or, I've had this question on my mind for so long, and I want to know what your thoughts are. Can we just take a few seconds here, or a few minutes, or just a little while, and just talk about this one thing? Or if you want to use even more general language, just say something like, hey, I could really use your help with something. Do you have a minute? And that opens the door for the conversation. Most likely your partner is going to say something like, yeah, I'd be happy to. Hang on, I'll grab a cup of water, I'll be right over. Or if it's not a good time for them, now's when they're going to tell you. They'll say something like, I've got a meeting in 20 minutes, or I've got a phone call coming up here pretty soon. I don't know, can we do this later? Then say, yeah, when's a good time for you? And set that time down. Like if they said in an hour, say, okay, let's talk about this in an hour. But that opens up the door for them to realize that you need help with something, and there's something on your mind that you want to talk about. Okay. Back back to the hike where we were out there on the hill. Now, once you're in the conversation, try to avoid using accusatory language. And that can be really tricky because a lot of times you'll think, oh, so all I have to do is not say, you did this or you did that. Well, yes, but accusations can be a lot more subtle. Try to use I statements. So by that I mean, if something's bothering you, don't say, you're making me feel bad, or you never put away the laundry, or I don't like the way that you come home late at night without texting or calling me. Try to say, instead, use I statements and say things like, I feel alone and worried about you when you don't come home late at night and you don't let me know where you are. Or I feel that I'm doing more than my fair share of the housework around here because I feel that I'm doing a lot of the laundry. You get the idea, that kind of thing. Focus more on yourself and what you're going through instead of trying to put the blame on your partner, even inadvertently, by saying you're doing this. That's a really hard trap to avoid, but it's very beneficial if you can keep the pressure off of them and make them feel like they're not the subject of an interrogation. I wrote notes here on my phone. I'm just making sure I don't forget anything. Okay. Now, when they are talking, I gotta turn around and pick up the kid here in a little bit. Breaker, Riptide, come on. Let's go back. Now, when they are talking, go ahead and practice active listening. It's one thing to sit there and listen to someone when you're half there or when you're non-responsive. And that's not going to foster good lines of communication. Instead, what you want to do is you want to be present in the moment. And you want to let them know that you're actually listening to everything they say, because when they open up to you, what they say, there's nothing in the world more important than them trying to communicate their feelings to the person they love. And you want to let them know that they're being heard. You can do that through one of two ways. First of all, reflect on what they've said. And this is actually one of my favorite, excuse me, not a hack or anything, because, I mean, honestly, let's face it, hacks don't work. Hacks are just shortcuts. One of my favorite techniques is called the so you statement. When they tell you something like, at the end of the day, I'm so very tired, I get home and I just don't have energy to do the dishes. You say back to them essentially what they've said, but beginning with so you. And that would look like, so you feel tired and like you can't handle anything else on your plate when you get home from work. And what that does is that makes them realize that, yes, they are being heard. You've heard exactly what they said and you understand them. But even better, but it also, no bikes, but it also gives them a chance to think about that thought further and to dive in deeper if they want to. Because what you've done is you've essentially recognized their feelings, you've validated their thoughts, and you've opened that discussion up to even more contemplation. So if they want to explore it further, because a lot of times people have notions and thoughts and ideas in their head, but they haven't fully explored it. And this allows them to do that. So they could most likely, a lot of times what happens is you'll find them diving deeper and responding with something like, yeah, you know, I think about doing the dishes and I see that and I realize it would mean a lot to you and to us if I did that and I want to do it, but I just can't. I'm done. I'm dead. I need to flop on a couch and pass out. I'm at the end of my rope. And you know, I get that. As a parent, I'm at the end of my rope a lot too at the end of the day. You have no idea, unless you're a parent, or actually this is probably just me. I find myself to be very exhausted at the end of a long day of being a parent, picking up the house, doing errands, things like that. Excuse me. It just wears me out. And so I can relate to that. Okay, I know that was a bit of a tangent, but the key takeaway from this point is to let them, if they need to, talk about something as much as they need to. Take the time, be patient. And that leads into the next point. When you're having a talk with someone, it's going to be tense, no matter what you do, no matter how you approach it, it's going to cause stress. So do your best to try to remain calm. And this is honestly kind of a no-brainer. Try to maintain your equanimity. Keep your voice pleasant and loving. Because remember, this isn't your enemy sitting across the table or next to you on the couch. This is someone that you want to share your life with. And someone that wants to share their lives with you. You guys are best friends. And it's difficult sometimes to remember that in the heat of an argument. There's no doubt that emotions and tempers flare up. So make it a conscious effort to just try and remain calm, remain loving, and express that through your body language, through your voice. Be open and inviting instead of folding your arms or something and being closed off or frowning. Sorry, I keep looking back, I know, but I keep thinking I see things back there and hearing things. It's just the voices in my head. And one thing you can do to help stay calm is to take breaks if needed. Say, hey, let's take 5. I'm going to go get some water, go for a walk, whatever is needed, because that gives you a chance to sort of reset. It gives you, both of you, an opportunity to recover some of your emotional bandwidth and get back into that zone of being able to communicate without it becoming just an all-out brawl. Okay, next. And I have been guilty of this on many, many occasions. Stay focused on what it is that you need to discuss. In other words, when you start the conversation, you're going to have a specific goal or a specific topic that you want to talk about. Stay on track. I have found myself, and Erica has rightly pointed out, that what I tend to do is I tend to bring up like a laundry list of grievances or things that have bothered me in the past. And I lay them all out, and I accuse her of everything under the sun, and it feels more like a flogging on her part as opposed to a conversation. Don't do that. Stay focused on whatever it is in the moment that you need to talk about. And when you're doing this, and when you're staying focused on the topic that you have at hand, try to stay solution-oriented. Don't use this as an opportunity to assign blame. Don't say it's your fault, or even don't blame yourself. Don't say it's my fault. Say instead, how can we find a solution for this? What can we do to make this better? Because that's really why you're having a talk, is to try to figure out a way to resolve whatever the problem is, or a way to come to an understanding for whatever it is that you're discussing. And you don't want to assign blame. That turns it into a you versus them situation. So just remember, keep things simple, keep it solution-oriented. And this leads into my next point. When you're trying to come up with solutions, brainstorm the ideas together. Try to say things like, hey, what can we do to solve this? Or how can we make this better? What I've used a lot with Erica is, what would be your perfect solution to this? How would you like to see it played out? Then I get to hear sort of an unfiltered view of what it is that they're thinking. And then I can take their viewpoint and figure out a way to incorporate it with my own needs and my own desires. So hopefully we can come up with something that works best for the both of us. And yes, there's going to be some compromises. I mean, that's the story of a relationship, is you're going to compromise occasionally. And there's going to be trade-offs, of course, but that's part of being in a relationship. The idea is for you to come up with a solution with your partner. Because what that does is, if they're part of the solution and they've had input and are able to help develop it with you, they've bought in. Now it's at least in part their idea, and they feel more committed to it because they helped come up with the way to resolve what it is that you're talking about. And that's going to give them more of an emotional investment, because they're not being told what to do by someone else. It's not like a parent or an authority figure coming along and saying, you have to do this, or you have to change in this way. No one likes that. No one likes to be told what to do. But instead, when you resolve a problem together, you form this sense of teamwork and camaraderie, and you both want it to work out. So remember, just try to come up with ideas and solutions as a team. Okay, next, and I wish I had learned this tip decades ago, but when you're talking about difficult problems, or just anything in general, use a lot of nonverbal communication. Use body language, even if that's like just putting your hand on their knee or giving them a hug around the shoulders. Use forms of touch or gestures that they can recognize as being supporting, as being loving, and as being kind. Because let's think about this for a second. If you're talking about something, or someone's talking to you about a problem that they're having, wouldn't you like it if all of a sudden they gave you a hug halfway through you pouring your heart out about how stressed or how emotionally challenging something was? Wouldn't you love it if you knew your partner was there through the whole process and they still loved it because they gave you a smooch on a cheek? In the moment, keep your eye open for those opportunities. Keep your eyes open for the chances to do something that doesn't involve words. It's going to be both reaffirming, loving, calming, or connect you to. That's really what it's all about. And that's going to help so much. That will put them in a better frame of mind, and it will actually help you be in a better frame of mind as well. There's a lot of studies out there that have correlated the release of oxytocin with physical touch. And it doesn't matter so much who initiates it. It's that physical touch itself that makes both you and your partner feel better. No matter how many times I look, no one behind me, but I know I'm going to keep looking. All right. Now, a great tip, a great practice that I absolutely cherish is trying to put yourself in someone else's shoes. And this is not easy. This is something that's going to take practice, because let's say hypothetically your partner does something that has bothered or upset you. That's undoubtedly going to give rise to some feelings of frustration. It's natural that you're going to feel aggravated or feel angry or feel mad at them. And to stop for just a minute and take a look at the solution or take a look at the problem from their point of view is going to do a lot to put you in the frame of mind to reach a satisfactory conclusion for both of you. It's also going to help you become less accusatory and help you pass less judgment on them. If you can understand the situation from the way that they're thinking, and you come to realize that whatever's going on is probably also not the way that they want things to play out, that's going to go a long ways in helping maintain that sense of teamwork, that sense of partnership, that relationship, because now it's you against the problem, you and your partner against the problem as opposed to you against each other. So take a moment every now and then, practice empathy, try putting yourself in their shoes and understand it from their point of view. That's going to be, it's so helpful, so very, very helpful. Okay, just 2 more tips. Now, if all else fails and you're not able to have a talk with your partner, seek professional help. There's no stigma, no shame, no judgments, and nothing bad about reaching out to a marital counselor or a relationship counselor, or even just an individual counselor if you need help. That's because in this day and age, mental health is such an important part of our society, yet it's still so difficult to achieve good mental health that you need to do as much as you can to make sure you're in a good frame of mind and that you're happy. And if you are happy, if you do see a counselor, or you and your partner both see a counselor together, you're both going to be better humans to each other. Think of it like this. When you go to see a counselor, you're essentially hiring an advocate for your mental well-being. It's like employing a lawyer to fight for your emotional health. Why wouldn't you do that? It's like going to see a doctor for the mind. If you fall down and break your leg, you're going to go see a doctor for your leg. If you have stress with your partner, if you don't feel good, why wouldn't you go see a partner? Why wouldn't you go see a doctor to help fix that? That's all it is. It's just the brain is like any other part of the body. It's an organ, and organs within us. And like any other organ, sometimes it needs some help. Okay, final tip, respect boundaries. If now is not the right time and your partner doesn't want to talk about something, respect that. Don't pressure them into it. Likewise, if something comes up during your conversation that they say, I'm not comfortable speaking about this, respect that as well. Know that everyone has something, everyone has some line that it's uncomfortable for them to cross. And given enough time, given enough patience, that they can talk about it, but if you push them, they're going to dig their heels in. Let's put yourself in their shoes for a minute. What if there was something that you didn't want to talk about or didn't feel comfortable discussing and your partner insisted that you do it? Aren't you going to stick your arms straight out and push them away as hard as you can and refuse to talk about it? I probably would. I mean, honestly, that's human reaction, is to fight back against pressure that is trying to make us do something we don't want to. Now, this is going to tie into another video, the next video I'm going to make, of what to do if your partner simply doesn't want to talk about a problem that's bothering you. Because I've encountered that a lot in the past of sometimes I don't want to talk about things, or sometimes I try to bring things up and my partner doesn't want to talk about it. And there's a lot of ways to resolve this that I don't think are common sense. We're not born knowing these tips and tricks. I mean, in school, they don't teach you things like partner dispute resolution, calm and patience when one partner's not feeling comfortable. That's not 5th grade, high school, college. It's not taught anywhere. You have to learn these things through experience. And I've come across this so often that I've developed some techniques that really work well. Now, here's the takeaway for all this. You should remember only one thing from everything I just said. When you have a talk with your partner, just keep in mind, you love them and they love you, even if it doesn't look like that in the moment. Even if there's tears, there's yelling, there's frustration, you want to spend your life with them. They want to spend your life with you. It just doesn't look like it right now. But remember, they're your best friend and vice versa. Keep that in mind. Remember that mindset. It's going to go a long way to helping you guys have a talk with that person that you love.